most of the times, there's this thing that is happening in our world today, and in just a brief, simple analogy, this is how I explain it to you. Many people have dreams. They want to scale their business. People have ideas. They've converted into projects. They are seeking to actually move to the next stage of the idea. So, like P. Fan mentioned, if you saw the stages of a business, you have from the existence, you have all the way from the survival, then you move to the success, then you move on to the takeoff, and the last stage is the maturity. So it doesn't matter what stage of your business you find yourself, financial modeling is quite very relevant and important, and the ability to understand the language is good. You don't need to be an expert in the first place. So now I'm going to talk to you. So if you pick financial modeling, we are basically going to use accounting, we are going to use finance, and we are going to use business metrics. And then we are going to predict the future of the business, the financial position of the business, based on the historic that we have. Financial modeling, it is an application of these three. So we look at a bit of accounting, look at a bit of finance, and then we look a bit of business. So it is more like a scenario planning. If you are going to have, so either for your business or for your investment or for a project, you can do a scenario planning. In that scenario planning, you want to understand how much each city you employ, what will be the return on that city. So the most important reason, for example, I'm just going to give you a very simple example. I want to start my own business. Maybe I'm into agribusiness. I'm doing a poultry farm, for example. And in the poultry farm, I'm doing about 20,000 birds, okay? I want to scale it from 20,000 to about 100,000. If I have that concept in mind, that is just basically the concept of expansion of my business from 20,000 to 100,000. Now, you can just decide and say, okay, because I need to scale it from 20,000 birds to 100,000 birds, I'll need this amount of money. Now, the main reason why financial modeling is very important and is very key is that you would have to now look at all the alternative paths and routes to the 100,000 birds. And this alternative and options that you have on your table, you can easily do them through a lot of scenarios. Now, scenario one is we're going to look at it from a business angle. So in terms of business, what are we going to look at in terms of moving from 20,000 birds all the way to 100,000 birds? It means that you have to increase your human capital, okay? The labor would have to increase. You now look at the expansion in terms of the number of rooms for the birds that you need there. You now look at the feed in terms of your value chain, the feed that would come in. Now you're going to look at all of these analysis and then you plan. So the main problem with most businesses is that they are better being small scale than when they become large scale. They often do not plan the capacity to be at that level of expansion. That is the reason why when some businesses move from small scale to even medium scale, they begin to go down. And this accounting-wise and business. So in this case, this person that we're giving the example will then look at the business side of it in terms of management. You saw what P-Fan mentioned. And then in terms of accounting and finance, we'll now look at what are the funding options available to scale. Are we going to look at equity? Are we going to look at debt? Are we going to look at quasi-equity? What are some of the funding options that we can do? Now, the point in here is that each one of them would come with their pros and their cons. And you have to evaluate it based on your business and your project. So if you pick debt and equity, if anybody would offer you to put money into your business and is giving you equity, so equity simply means is a dilutive form of financing, which simply means that your ownership, you are sharing part of your ownership with someone. Now, with this ownership that you are sharing with a person, what are the advantages and disadvantages? If I want to take equity from someone, it means that I'm not paying any money immediately. So if I take that 100,000, let's assume we need 100,000 Ghana cedis to expand. Then when that person gives me the 100,000, it is not a money that I'm going to worry about in terms of paying every month. or every 2 months, or every year. In other words, that money has become part of the capital of what? The business. And that is the main advantage with it. Now, if you do debt, the advantage with that is that if you look at your cash flow, that is the accounting side of it. We look at the cash flow, the forecast that we do, and your cash flow is having a surplus and you are capable of paying, then debt could be a better way because the business itself could pay off that loan without you diluting your ownership to another person. What you do is that you do this analysis before you take that decision. Now, quasi-equity is often, some people can say, okay, I want to invest in your business, but maybe I'm looking at 5 to 7 years into this business. So after 7 years, I want to exit. So my money is with you, take your time, 5 to 7 years, then I'll exit. So you are free, you don't pay. By the time of exit, the value of that person's money would have increased because of the valuation of your business. So you can look at all these options under financing, and then you look at which one will be the best alternative one for you. You don't need to be an expert. What you can do is that you can do what called management accounts. So every quarter or 6 months, you can let an accountant prepare it for you. He can give you the basic ratios and then the simple interpretation of your financial standing. And then you can let him do what we call a cash flow analysis also for you. Next, when they look at the valuation of businesses, and this one I wanted to hit on it because this has become a problem. I'm a consultant too, so I get a lot of these issues. So I want to practically give you examples that you could use. Somebody wants to invest in your business and people are wondering, hey, in this business that I have, somebody wants to do an investment in it. How do I even value my business and to determine that how much is my business worth so that this person can come in? So there are 3 methods of valuation, okay? We could go into what we call the cost method, or we could go into the market, okay, valuation, or the last one, which I'm going to use a simple term so that you can easily grasp it, is the income, which is the cash flow or discounted cash flow, okay? So if we look at the cost method, okay, of valuation, we are going to look at it from an angle of opportunity cost, okay? What would be the cost of establishing this same business today? So where your business is, including both your tangible and intangible assets, including your goodwill, you've already established a brand. You want to know how much your business is worth. For example, since I use a poultry farm, it's not just the structure of the poultry farm. That is not only the value of it. The customer base that you have, how much would it cost you in terms of marketing to get this number of customers? So some businesses, the value of the business is not just the structure, but it's actually the customer base that they have. And that is the reason why we have merger and acquisition. When people do that, they are not buying the physical structure, but because of the clientele, because of the customer base business, that's where they are coming in. So you will look at the valuation of your business as against your investors from the angle where you put in to get to that level. Is that okay? Then you come to the point where you have the market value and you do the market valuation. And then the last one, you look also at the income revenue, the generation, and the prospective income revenue. So basically, this is just to give you a brief understanding of financial modeling and how you can apply it with decision making. So please don't just dream, don't just hope, don't just imagine. Put figures to these things, and at the end, it will be good for you. Thank you so much.